Every column that tells Joe Biden not to run always includes an addendum from these Democratic kind of advisors that Kamala also shouldn't run. David Ignatius, as we talked about yesterday on the program, David Ignatius wrote a column in the Washington Post saying Joe should not run, and also asterisk, and also Kamala Harris, which is kind of amazing, right? Because she's supposed to be this wunderkind, this political genius. She's supposed to be amazing at this, and we just all misunderstand her. But the problem is nobody likes Kamala Harris. So the reason they're panicking about Biden is because they got nobody to back him up. Who's the person waiting in the wings? You can say it's Gavin Newsom, but let me tell you, running on the record of California is not likely to win you the presidency, or at the very least, it ain't going to go amazing. California's been bleeding population, including my entire family, for years under Gavin Newsom. It's truly an amazing spectacle to watch as the Democratic Party recognizes, I mean, they really do, that they must send this Madame Tussauds wax figure of a human into battle, and he's melting. But you better get him back in the presidency before that dude completely melts, because backing him up is Kamala Harris. And you can hear the Democratic unease. Nancy Pelosi was asked yesterday about whether Kamala Harris was the best pick for vice president for Joe Biden. She refused 3 separate times to say yes. She's like, well, Joe did pick him, but she's like,
Vice President Kamala Harris, the best running mate for this president?
He thinks so, and that's what matters. People shouldn't underestimate what Kamala Harris brings to the table.
But do you think she is the best running mate, though?
She's the vice president of the United States. So when people say to me, well, why isn't she doing this or that? I said, because she's the vice president. That's the job description. You don't do that much. You're a source of strength, inspiration, intellectual resource, and the rest.
Again, she's not saying that she should be the running mate. She's just saying, well, she is great, and Joe picked. Nobody's comfortable with Kamala Harris. Why? Well, because she's terrible at this. For example, she was asked about her limits on abortion. So remember, the talking point from the Democrats, including from people like Jen Psaki, former spokesperson for the President of the United States, the talking point is that they're not for abortion on demand. The problem is, when asked, name a situation in which you would outlaw abortion, they cannot name any. Here's Kamala Harris on Face the Nation botching it once again.
So what is it that you believe? I mean, what week of pregnancy should abortion access be cut off?
We need to restore the protections of Roe versus Wade. We're not trying to do something new.
But does it need to be specific in terms of defining and where that guarantee goes up to and where it does not? At which week of pregnancy?
We need to put back in place the protections of Roe versus Wade.
You know why I'm asking you this question, though, because
we're not trying to do anything that did not exist before June of last year.
So that would be abortion on demand, by the way. Just recognize the question was, where would you limit abortion? And the answer is, I'm not going to answer your question because they don't have any limits on abortion. She's terrible at this. Everybody knows she's terrible at this. Innovation Refunds has been helping small businesses that qualify get a business payroll tax refund through the Employee Retention Credit, also known as the ERC. The ERC is a tax refund for businesses that kept employees on payroll for parts of 2020 and 2021. If you own a business with more than 5 employees, you could have money waiting to be claimed. Innovation Refunds survey research shows a large number of small businesses who had from 5 to 500 full-time employees in 2020 or 2021 might be eligible for an ERC tax deduction. Qualifying for the ERC goes beyond sales decline. If your business faced challenges to the growth it would have had without pandemic government orders, it could be eligible for a substantial refund as well. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google that are credited with the Better Business Bureau. They're not going to charge you any upfront fees or any money at all until you actually get paid. So it's risk-free to you. Innovation Refunds does not provide tax or legal advice. They work with an independent network of tax professionals. They share information with them to evaluate and process your claims. Head on over to innovationrefunds.com to determine eligibility. And if you qualify, you could be on your way to receiving money for your business. There's no upfront charge. They don't get paid unless you get paid. Go to innovationrefunds.com or dial 1-843-REFUNDS. That is 1-843-REFUNDS. Are you one of the millions of American men and women dealing with premature hair thinning and hair loss? Or maybe you're scared about inheriting that thinning look because it runs in the family. You look at your dad, you're like, uh-oh. Finally, there is a real solution that delivers on its promise without the harsh side effects, unwanted chemicals, and unpleasant smells. Provia Hair Care uses a safe natural ingredient called Procapil to effectively target the 3 main causes of premature hair thinning and loss. Provia supports healthy scalp circulation and delivers nourishing nutrients to strengthen hair follicles and anchor them to your scalp. And Provia guarantees more hair on your head than in the shower drain. Provia is effective for men and women of any age. It's safe on colored, treated, and styled hair as well. Provia works guaranteed or 100% of your money back. It is that easy. So, that's a pretty good deal. Right now, new customers save over 50% off Provia's introductory package at proviahair.com/Shapiro. See results for yourself right now. Don't wait. That's proviahair.com/Shapiro. Don't wait until you've become your grandfather and there's nothing atop that egg. Instead, head on over to proviahair.com/Shapiro to get started. And meanwhile, it's a two-front war for Joe Biden in this election. Yeah, on the one hand, you've got his corruption and his unpopularity. And on the other hand, you have a bad economic situation that is manifesting itself right now. According to the Wall Street Journal, consumer prices rose in August at the fastest pace in more than a year due to a jump in energy costs, illustrating the potential obstacles to wringing inflation out of the economy without a sharper slowdown. The Consumer Price Index, a closely watched inflation gauge, rose 0.6% in August from the prior month, according to the Labor Department. More than half of that increase was due to higher gasoline prices, but that doesn't matter because, you're still paying for it. The monthly core reading likely keeps Federal Reserve officials on course to hold interest rates steady at their meeting next week. However, on an annualized basis, prices were up 3.7% overall in August versus 3.2% in July. Annual core inflation is still 4.3% in August. So these are not good numbers. It's supposed to be, again, at 2%. Remember, every time they say that inflation is slowing, recognize that all of the inflation that already happened is not being undone. So if you say that a good costs 10% more this year than last, and then you say next month it costs only 5% more, and the month after that 3% more, and the month after that 2% more, you have to aggregate all of those for the final price. Right now, people are paying in a boatload more than they were paying for their goods and services just a couple of years ago. And that is thanks to Joe Biden, which is why his economic numbers are in the toilet. Every single poll shows a plurality of Americans trust Trump over Biden to handle the economy, without a doubt. But meanwhile, Democrats keep saying, they keep trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen. Keep saying Bidenomics over and over and over. You're just cutting campaign commercials for Republicans at this point. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre suggesting that Bidenomics turned the economy around, which is quite a shock considering the economy was already turning around by Q4 of 2020.
Why is he going to Maryland, a blue state, instead of maybe a red state, to talk about his economic policies?
So, not going to get. You heard Jared, the chair of CEA, talk specifically about the economy. Speak specifically about a major speech that the president's going to do tomorrow on Bidenomics. You've heard us talk about Bidenomics and how we believe has turned the economy around, and just not from us, but from the data that we certainly have seen. And this is a president has been very clear. He wants to see an economy that's built from the bottom up, middle out, and not the trickle down economy that we see.
Bottom up, middle out, man.
Republicans want to continue to do.
It's all sloganeering. By the way, that's also the title of the next Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B song, Bottom Up, Middle Out. It's gonna be fantastic. Jared Bernstein, who she just referenced there, he's blaming congressional Republicans for, quote unquote, allowing child poverty to double. I love the way they play this game. So the game is, what if we just infuse trillions of dollars into the economy on the basis of emergency measures, and it creates massive inflation, and then that expires, and then you blame people for allowing it to expire? That's the game here. So we create a false perception of child poverty being relieved by blowing money into a pandemic-era economy and a post-pandemic-era economy. And then when it expires, because, inflation is through the roof, then it's the fault of everybody else. It's your fault, guys. Costs and benefits accrue to every policy. It turns out the long-term cost of what you guys have created here is a stagflating economy. That is what we have right now.
That's not okay in an economic context where congressional Republicans have allowed child poverty to double by refusing to extend this child tax credit.
They're so tiresome. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.